So here we are in the map of wholeness, and now the invitation is to look to the south, to the direction of the south. There, in the south, there are some archetypes, natural archetypes. For example, it's the moment of the day when the sun hits the most. It's the noon time. It's also the summer, the season of the summer, the moment of the year in which the sun, at least in the northern hemisphere, is very, very much present. It's the moment the temperature rises, but also the temper rises. People are alive through the emotions. Nature is flourishing, actually already giving fruits. So much aliveness and temper and temperature in the direction of the south.
The archetypal energy that we are going to explore here in the south facet of wholeness is the Wild Indigenous One. Wild. Wild means natural, means authentic, means the way it's supposed to be. It does not mean violent or barbarous. On the contrary, it has the flavor of the naturalness that we all are seeking to inhabit in our lives. Wild can be a bear, a lion, a wolf, that they are powerful and strongly wild. At the same time, wild can be a gentle flower, a gentle wave on the sea, the wind that is blowing. They're also wild because they're natural. It is the way they were born to be. In this way, we have this resource of wildness inside of ourselves. And this is a portal to our authenticity, to really inhabit and step into our authenticity. And when we refer to authenticity, it's not a matter of I'm authentic or I'm not authentic. It's a wide range in which we can be authentic. And this wildness, this connection with this resource, gift of ourselves, is helping us reach that authentic place that we are maybe longing for. One of the great pains or heaviness that we are carrying as human beings on the earth is that we are trying constantly to be and to behave as someone that we are not. So in a way, we are unconsciously fighting against our wildness, against our authenticity. Lots of depression and sorrow moments are coming out of this fight, that we are fighting against this natural flow of our lives. One of the portals to authenticity is maybe to allow ourselves to be more vulnerable, more open, more fragile even in the midst of what is happening in our life. To pour our soul into a conversation, into a thought, into a project. This is how we are unfolding our authenticity. And you know what? If we are allowing ourselves to be authentic, it is at the same time an invitation for the others to be more authentic. It is a way of us creating our tribe, creating our community.
And don't we long to belong in a community? The Wild Indigenous One archetype reminds us that we belong. Actually, we belong to so many different communities. One could say that we, our human body, or our own self, holds one community that can host and embrace ourselves. And yet, there are more communities we belong to. It's the human community that we belong to. We are social beings. We are born to create and co-create together, to find synergies, to communicate, to build projects together, while still be authentic. And above all, the Wild Indigenous One reminds us that we belong to the nature, we belong to the world, we belong to this land, this earth, this very water, this very wind. We belong to the song of the eagle, we belong to the flight of the butterfly. We belong to this world. It seems there are many human beings who are suffering from the lack of this belonging. People who find themselves deeply in loneliness, deeply in depression, because we forgot maybe that we belong and we have the capacity to create communities ourselves and to find community within ourselves and the world and the nature. And so much healing can happen also by going back and reconnecting, remembering our wild roots in the world, in ourselves.
We are nature. We are the human part of nature. We are not separated. We are not separated from the wind. We have the wind inside. We are not separated from the sun. We are, in a way, co-creating with these brothers and sisters that are surrounding us. And we belong because we were invited. After all, we were invited into this life by a greater force. It must be that if we were invited, we are welcomed.
So where does the Wild Indigenous One of ourselves find home? And maybe the primary home of the Wild Indigenous One is the human body, the flesh, the skin, the bones, the blood, the breath we have. This is our first home. It is very widely said in many different cultures that our body is our temple, is where our souls come to inhabit and live. So this is our first home, one could say. And oh my goodness, isn't there so much wisdom in this human body? Just stop for a while and go back in time and think, imagine, count all these thousands or millions of or trillions of people and more than human beings who worked and sacrificed and created us so that we too now stand here and be reminded of the wisdom of the body. Maybe you already feel some goosebumps in your body, or maybe you don't. But yeah, this body is full of wisdom, and it's a wisdom that maybe it's not so much accepted in the nowadays world. It's a wisdom older than the mental wisdom, the mental knowing. It's a wisdom that tells us something is right or something is wrong, because this animal human instinct works and knows beyond or faster than our mind. So the Wild Indigenous One archetype that we have inside of us reminds us, invites us to use our body to move it in such a way that we are ourselves, and to honor it also in this way, to allow ourselves to shout or dance or go down and up as authentically as we are.
Well, body hosts a lot of intelligence, a lot of wisdom, and also every day, as poet Rumi says, every day we are visited by emotions that are also hosted by this temple of ours, by this body. Emotions are felt into a somatic way by the body, and authentically and wildly we should maybe ask, what are you bringing with you, rage? What are you bringing with you, ecstasy? What are you bringing with you, happiness, shame, guilt? All emotions are welcomed and felt by the body. So pay attention, wild ones. Pay attention to what is your body hosting, because it might be the emotions that we feel through our body are directing the path, the journey that we are supposed to be on.
So let's invite, let's allow space, let's welcome all the emotions without categorizing them. These are good and these are bad, without labeling them, without choosing to show and express, and mainly express only one part of emotions or one little range of emotions, but really allow space within us and hands and voice and body to express them.
Here we are, speaking about emotions, speaking about feelings, and I have this image of an underworld bloody river boiling, a river that holds all these emotions, a river that we might call it Eros, is this primordial force that engages us, makes us alive into the world, gives us passion, it feeds us passion, it feeds us with curiosity, with erotic curiosity for the world, of how to serve from this place of authenticity and wildness and belonging. Just think a little bit into that idea that we are being navigated by this river that is in the underworld, that we might suppress and we might forget about it because it's not encouraged in our Western civilization and Western culture, but it exists deep, deep down. Every one of us has this wisdom, has this force that animates us. We need Eros everywhere. We need Eros in order to create a presentation. We need Eros in order to work with other people. We need Eros to feel alive, to feel like we're really living on this earth as passionately as we can. So Eros is an essential element of this archetype of the wild indigenous one. And just to spice up a little bit the presentation here, we are going to offer you some other archetypes that are really connected with this main one, the wild indigenous one. And this one that I'm going to speak about is the lover archetype that obviously is being fed by the river of Eros. And it's the capacity in ourselves to open ourselves to the beauty of the world, to the magnificence that the world holds. Look around. It is a beautiful lover, the world itself, and we are inhabiting this lover energy. So imagine for a second to really embody this lover archetype and to be in a love relationship with the world, to love it so deeply that we will protect it and we will cherish it and we will defend it and we will not go against it as some of us, most of us, are going nowadays.
Another sub-archetype we can find within the wild indigenous one is the warrior. The warrior archetype is not the one that wants to fight and go against everything or destroy everything. No, the warrior archetype is the one within us that is devoted to the things or places that he or she belongs to. It's the one that knows how to honor and protect, how to make love and yet still defend her own body, his own body, the emotions, the community, the humanity, the nature. It's the one of us that knows how to say no. And oh my goodness, isn't this something that we miss in this world? How to say healthy no's.
From this place of our inner warrior, we know our territory, we know our place, and we both love it and defend it with the price of our lives. We know how to say no's and yeses to the physical boundaries, and also we know how to say no and yeses to the emotional boundaries. There are all sorts of information that are coming from this unhealthy world that we live in, and we should really pay attention to what we consider true about ourselves and what we say, no, that's not me, that's not who I am. And the warrior knows also these type of boundaries. We would like to offer you some invitations to practice the calling of the wild indigenous one in your life, because only by cultivating this capacity in ourselves, it will flourish and it will be present in our lives. So here are a couple of ideas, and one is really connected to the natural world. So we are inviting you to go in a wander in a wild or semi-wild place and really pay attention to all the beings around. And when I say beings, the wind is a being, the tree is a being, the stone is a being. And really praise and be astonished by their authenticity, because everything in the natural world is authentic. And feel yourself open enough to be inspired by how the bird is authentically singing its song, and how the tree is moving and is dancing with the wind. And ask yourself, how can I be more like you tree, like you bird? How can I inhabit this authentic way of living in my body, in my words, in my actions? Play with that in the natural world. That will hold you and will host you for this exploration.
And another invitation, which can happen in the nature, but also in your own home. We're inviting you to show up in the world by showing up to yourself through the voice, through the song. There are some notes in our range that are longing to be expressed, they are longing to be sung. So find yourself opening your mouth and courageously, with the warrior energy, with your authenticity, allowing your wild voice to be expressed through a song, through a roar, through a humming, through anything, even a breath. Yes, say yes to that. Say yes to your authentic voice.